What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Often I think of this run as a huge mistake in the development of Shelton Benjamin, or at least the circumstances that led to it. Heading into 2005, Shelton was on his way. Face value, WWE seemed to realize that this man was special. He was able to show insane athleticism, unlike many at the time. His matches were always fun, and while he wasn't the most charismatic or the best promo, Benjamin had that fury inside the squared circle. He was an athlete's athlete, and in a way, he was that era Cesaro. He showed impressive talent but never captured the most coveted gold. His development around here was flatlined. He was heavily reliant on his mother and started randomly wearing shirts for no reason. There wasn't a huge change of character or anything with it, and that's all I seem to recall after Mama Benjamin left. So right now, let's go back to 2005, where Shelton was the once rising star. Alright, we all know Shelton was lighting the world on fire with his performances and moments. Moments such as the clothesline from the top of the ladder from WrestleMania 21. Also the move that inspired everybody to want to try on SVR 2007. He held the IC title for 244 days, which was and is actually the longest title reign from the century. Nobody, not The Miz nor Cody Rhodes, held the title as long as he did. Then came the June 20th, 2005 episode of Raw. On this night, Shelton was basically pushed in favor of Carlito. That's putting it simply, and it was like Woody with Buzz Lightyear. By the fall, Shelton was developing a losing streak of sorts, and fans, of course, wondered what's up, and according to the Torch newsletter, one source within WWE says that Shelton Benjamin's string of losses over the past few months was punishment for behavior directed at a veteran road agent. The Torch newsletter described the behavior as a blatant, negative, and disrespectful attitude shown towards at least one veteran road agent. As indicated with Big Vito's recent punishment on television, if one's political and on-screen position is not secure, he opens himself to trouble when committing backstage misconduct. Is this true? I don't know, but if you watch my videos, you know I mention them regardless. Well, with that said, Shelton Benjamin was losing every single match he was in. It wasn't like he was dominated or anything like that. It's just Benjamin was foreign to W's now, like the Detroit Lions. This wasn't a Kurt Angle, Matt Striker, even Trevor Murdoch. Like, he lost to Trevor Murdoch. Then again, we shouldn't be disrespecting Trevor Murdoch because he's the NWA champion right now, right? Slowly but surely, Shelton was getting frustrated, but once he was back in South Carolina, his home state, the man was positive. HBK praised him greatly for his career in college, but said that since he met him, the Heartbreak Kid, his career has gone south. He was basically lighting a fire under the man, and it sort of worked. Later that night, Shelton whooped ass. He showed great intensity and aggression. All was well, but then suddenly he wanted to take a page out of HBK's old book and bring his ego into this. He cross-bodied the air, and Carlito won because of this. Of course, due to the loss, he was all distraught. He's all sad. He's about to cry. And the commentary felt that Shelton was too aggressive during the match and lost focus. Michaels tried calming him down, but Shelton showed too much attitude around here. In light of his unprofessional actions, Shelton claimed that Michaels left him hanging during the match. He explained the situation and held Benjamin himself responsible, but all he could say is, "Oh, you asked for attitude." And he mentioned how HBK left him to lose the match. Shelton said that he's going to qualify for the Elimination Chamber and hoped that HBK makes it as well. This time around, the victory was once again in sight, but he smoked some of RVD's weed earlier and did the stupidest thing. This led to that SVR 06 possum pinfall, and he lost. Oh, and this match, you know what's up. It's 2005 John Cena, damn it. Zero chance of winning it. After the match, though, he's on the phone. Somebody's yelling at him, and he's in shock. Why? Because they were coming to Raw next week. After finding himself in the super OP Master Lock and, of course, passing out, his mother of all people confronted him. She belittled him for taking an L, especially tonight, and told him that he's gone soft. He was embarrassed, and she even revealed that she'll be around until everything gets set straight. Man, every time I go back to the mid-2000s, WWE is on some weird stuff. It's always this era that features the most random, obscure ideas. Like, the way these storylines get thought of, too, are odd as well. Now, when we look at it from their perspective, I guess this was their way of trying to get Shelton over for his actual character and stories, because at the end of the day, that's all he was lacking. Now, was this the right approach? I don't think so. Back to the topic at hand. Mama Benjamin brought Shelton to New Year's Revolution because she wanted him in a match. While searching for some proper food, Viscera's music randomly played, the lights dim, and he was ready to risk it all. He's loving the view, but this clearly pissed her off. After learning that she's Shelton's mama, he didn't care and asked if she'd like to be daddy. What? This, of course, led to the match nobody asked for. A while later, Benjamin demanded that Viscera issue an apology, but she didn't want to hear it and mentioned how they give ass kickings and began shouting at him. She began shouting on the microphone as if she's in a second-story building or something. The Sun clearly didn't want none of Viscera, and the match itself was pretty damn boring. It's not something you will want to watch, but anyways, I assume they mic'd her up. Because she was shouting and shouting and shouting during the match, and you can hear everything. Shelton was showing resiliency despite the challenge in front of him, but I assume this was in fear of the belt. His mom's gonna whoop his ass. And because of this, he's suddenly the 2004 version of himself. He's actually taking a beating and refusing to give up. Viscera, he was all bricked up earlier, talking about how he'll be her daddy. Mama Benjamin showed him by whacking him with a purse containing a brick. And finally, for the first time in 3 months, Shelton Benjamin was victorious. It had been a long time coming. Like, this man lost so much momentum in the summer and fall and winter after losing so many matches. He wasn't as much of a big deal as he was previously. Like, when you think of the mid-card scene of late 2005, early 06 Raw, you do not think of Shelton Benjamin. You always think of Carlito, Chris Masters, Kane, Big Show, those types of guys, you know? Those guys that were in and outside of the main event scene. I mean, this guy lost to Kerwin White. Upon revealing the news to him, you know, that she whacked him with a brick, he was in shock. The next night, the mother randomly introduced herself to Val Venus, and no, she wasn't familiar with him in wrestling, rather some adult movies. She switched up very quickly, shouted saying he's going to hell, how she's a Christian woman, and ended the confrontation telling him, you're going to hell tonight. And this was also a Royal Rumble qualifying match. With Mommy by his side, Shelton Benjamin developed a newfound aggression. Add to that, he actually kept his ego in check. He wasn't doing more than he should. Obviously, there were some times where his mom had to intervene and help. This time, though, she hit or ejected him with something. I'm not sure. Shelton was off to the Royal Rumble. Mama was even speaking on behalf for him, demanding matches, and this proved to be a huge mistake one night as his opponent ended up being the Big Show. But Shelton was informed. Even though he didn't drop the Giant, he won by countout. This newfound winning streak, though, was going to be put to the test when Shawn Michaels faced Shelton Benjamin on the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. Shelton was also whining about how HBK was calling him Mama's boy and started crying about it to his mom. Now, this match in particular is a standout in heel Shelton Benjamin's run. Raw 2006 is obviously not renowned for having amazing matches or anything like that. This one, it's one of the best TV matches from the year. This match in particular is obviously not on the same level as their first match. Their first match is a top 10, maybe even top 5 Raw match ever. So if you watch it, do not go in looking for the same matchup. However, this was pretty damn good. It features one of the most underrated moments. You know, the springboard super kick countered by Shelton. I love that moment. You know, he actually had it scouted, and the way he kicked him, wow. The stipulation of the match sort of gives it away, but I feel it's worth a watch. Mama tried to interfere, but her efforts backfired greatly, and so HBK retained his spot in the Royal Rumble. Oh, and HBK super kicked him out during that match. So his mother began shouting at him for the last 2 matches. This didn't matter because she was once again in some awkward situation. At the same time, Benjamin felt that it was time to go after the Intercontinental Championship. Oh, and Eugene thought Mama Benjamin was Big Mama. Yeah. She ended up interfering one too many times because of this collapsed. She suffered a heart attack, I believe. Why they do this? Well, apparently the person playing Shelton Benjamin's mama on air has an internal injury that needs attending to, which is why they needed to come up with an angle to get her off TV. But despite this, she showed up the very next week and the surgery was, I assume, delayed. Benjamin's great performances got him a shot at Ric Flair's Intercontinental Championship, and with regards to that, the Nature Boys run was somewhat memorable, not because of some 5-star matches or anything like that, but because it was one of his only, I believe it was his only singles title during this WWE run. Heading into the match, Shelton's mother was in storyline suffering, but she still came out with her son for the title match. Early on, the Nature Boy was putting in an ass whooping. Shelton didn't figure it out for a while, and even though he spent a long time on offense, he failed to learn that springboards just don't work. He was locked in a figure 4, but nonetheless reached the rope, and this is when things get crazy. His mother was feeling something to straight up provide a distraction, leading to Shelton whacking Flair with an oxygen tank, and he goes to the cover. 1, 2, 3, new champion. This is, of course, a facade, and Shelton was now a 2-time champion. Still a joke, though. You know, it's not like he had an enforcer like Psycho Sid or Diesel. It was his damn mother helping him win matches. This time, though, Randy Orton, out of all people, made the save, helping Shelton qualify for Money in the Bank. With regards to the IC title rematch, well, it luckily went Shelton's way, although he technically lost clean. But the good times were going to come to an end for Mama Benjamin. The following week, Shelton came out alone, all pissed off, and he revealed that his mother has to have heart surgery and blamed Ric Flair for all of this. He cited a moment from the previous night's house show, and found this, she never returned. A few minutes later, he defended the IC title against Rob Van Dam. Similar to Benjamin, RVD was in great form. He was damn near unstoppable at one point. Despite Shelton's superb athleticism, Van Dam was inching close to the title. So the champ opted to cheat. Flair took notice, but basically cost RVD the title, and this led to yet another triple threat Intercontinental Championship match on the March 20th episode of Raw. This turned out to be a decent triple threat. Van Dam suffered a cut above his right eye and bled profusely. He took a hell of a beating. And Flair, I assume, got jealous of seeing somebody else's blood cut open as well, and Shelton was fully in control at this point. RVD comes in after a bit and causes chaos, and he had that burst of energy and momentum. Flair tries to slow down the pace but failed, and it was looking like the match was his to lose. Even Shelton took a belt shot. Then he missed the 5-star leading to the figure 4. Then Shelton randomly ran in and covered Flair to retain. Cool ending, fun match. The inclusion of RVD made things much quicker and more hectic, which is always a positive in triple threat matches. Ahead of WrestleMania, Shelton Benjamin began wearing a shirt and sunglasses. This had become a staple of his entrance, and it wasn't like he had a change of character or anything like that. He just wore him for no particular reason. He came out because he heard enough of Flair's propaganda and told him that he was born with more athletic ability than everybody in the match and double than Flair as well. He told him that he should be the last person to be concerned with winning the match, and best of all, said that WrestleMania is his night. His hands got the best of him and the Nature Boy struck. RVD then came in, I assume he was offended with the athletic statement, to show the champion what's up. Van Dam told both men that the briefcase is his, but the Nature Boy opted to thump him in the eye and drop him. About Money in the Bank, yeah. Shelton once again stole the show but fell short. I had the WrestleMania 22 DVD as a kid, so I watched this one countless times. Benjamin hit this running senton that wowed the crowd. And just looking at it, this man was something else. The way he'd just go up to the top rope and hit these aerial moves effortlessly, it was superb. Ric Flair was blasted with a shillelagh, fell off a ladder twice. RVD crashed and burned. There was that sunset powerbomb, and it was an impressive match. It's not talked about as often as others, in my opinion, rightfully so, because the others are on a whole other level, but it's a very fun match. Ultimately, it was RVD's time, though, and he became the second Mr. Money in the Bank. The next night on Raw, the IC champion defended his gold against Chavo Guerrero. Before the match, he dedicated this in honor of Eddie. He certainly showed the talent, but Shelton took control. He isolated the challenger, who struggled greatly, but after a while, the comebacks unlocked. Guerrero was in form, and the crowd believed. He hit the three amigos, but he missed the frog splash and took the T-bone suplex for the 1, 2, 3. Because of the loss, Chavo was so distraught and disappointed over letting down the fans, and most importantly, Eddie, that he quit. Meanwhile, Rob Van Dam was scoring W's, and Shelton was already jello of WrestleMania 22, so he wanted RVD to put the Money in the Bank on the line. The message was quickly relayed to Van Dam, who countered and asked Shelton to put his title on the line. He whined about this, saying it's all about the world title shot or something along the lines of that. Fast forward to a week later, and the coach announces that if Shelton wins this match, he faces RVD for the briefcase and vice versa. His opponent, though, was the returning Charlie Haas, and his reaction is mine when I saw the SVR 2008 commercial. He just couldn't believe it. It was from out of nowhere, and due to this, Shelton was absolutely blindsided. He righted the ship but got ahead of himself, which led to Charlie Haas stealing the victory. So this meant that there was no Money in the Bank matchup? Well, let me explain how things went. Shelton ran out to the boss himself and asked for some help. The man was so desperate and claimed that the light led him to this very office and preached that McMahonism is the truth. He responded positively, but then McMahon said that he likes people on their knees before him. Commentary was confused. Shelton was befuddled, and later that night, Rob Van Dam came out to wrestle in a handicap match. The prophets, I assume, of McMahonism, the Spear Squad, were the opponents. Van Dam did beat on them for a bit, but the numbers got to him and he lost clean. Well, kind of. Soon enough, it was revealed that both men have to put their prized possession on the line in a winner-take-all match at Backlash. About that one, yeah, it was fun. I already talked about it lengthily here, so no need to in this video. But it was a tremendous athletic display from both men. They pulled out the stops, and if Shelton Benjamin had a DVD or some sort of network compilation, this match certainly belongs. It's not the outright classic or even match of the night, but for sure an enjoyable affair, especially if you're a fan of either or both men. For Shelton, it wasn't a pleasant night as he walked out of the ring empty-handed. He took a Van Daminator and then the 5-star frog splash. And also, can we talk about how cool RVD's briefcase and singlets were? But yes, Van Dam was now Mr. Money in the Bank and the Intercontinental Champion. I should know it was his final title reign as well. Clearly bitter over the loss the previous night, Shelton Benjamin randomly attacked the new champion in the Master Lock Challenge. This led to a tag team match, which saw the heels take an L. But it didn't mean that Shelton was out of the title picture. Matter of fact, he got his title shot the very next week in a fatal 4-way match. This match included Masters and Haas. Each man had their moment. Shelton's consisted of him kicking some sense into his ex-partner's head, but it led to nothing. It seemed like Chris Masters was going to score the W, but Van Dam popped into the screen from out of nowhere, dropped him with a sunset flip to win it. But since WWE was somewhat obsessed with having the champion defend their title every other week during this time, it meant that Rob Van Dam had yet another title defense. This time was a bit more interesting. You see, Mr. McMahon opted to combine the WWE and IC title matches to book a Texas Tornado handicap match. Whoever covers the champion wins the title. Initially, the heels were given beatings, but then their egos got the best of them, and this gave Rob Van Dam his opening to deliver a slew of kicks to the three men. Cena appeared and had the momentum on his side, and he was untouchable. Poor Shelton was taking moves left and right. Finisher fest ensues. Triple H hits the pedigree on Cena, but despite this, he's not the winner. The game was confused over what had went down, and Shelton was ecstatic. You see, Shelton Benjamin covered Rob Van Dam right before Triple H did, meaning he was the Intercontinental Champion. Shelton Benjamin was now a 3-time Intercontinental Champion, and this run itself was his final one with the belt. His first title defense came the following week. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm somewhat joking with the whole every week thing, but I guess it ain't no joke. Okay, nobody mentions this one since it's a TV match, so let's talk. Already, it was pretty quick and hectic. Rob Van Dam was throwing kicks like nothing, but Shelton caught up and did zero. He did absolutely nothing of note. As Van Dam's going for the Rolling Thunder, Shelton rolls out, and after the commercial break, the champion was in control. RVD was fighting from under, but Shelton though made the mistake of going to the corner, leading to Van Dam connecting with some very unorthodox moves. Las Vegas crowd was certainly loving what they were seeing, but the referee thought, how can I ruin this match? Now, clearly, this referee hadn't played the old WWE games. You know, whenever you counter the opponent's weapon attack, you do not get disqualified. He thought otherwise here, and just as the match was getting fun, put a stop to this. What this also meant was that Rob Van Dam and Shelton Benjamin were no longer feuding. Van Dam had an eye for the WWE Championship and went into a different direction. As for Shelton Benjamin, yes, he defended the title. His opponent was Kane. Early on, the challenger gave the champion some trouble. And similar to the previous match, Shelton was actually doing something after the commercial. Kane was obviously not going to stay down for long. He sat up and punished the gold standard severely. As he's going for the choke slam, Shelton countered, and damn was it close. Spinning heel kick is blocked, but Shelton adapts and drops the monster with a DDT. He goes for the stinger splash, but Kane catches him, and the end was nigh. Suddenly, though, the lights dimmed, and May 19th was here. Oh, and The Undertaker called. He wants the storyline back. Okay, so in kayfabe, Shelton was doing well. He was winning matches, retaining titles, but the ghost of his past, his kryptonite, Carlito, came knocking. They had this matchup on the June 5th episode of Raw that concluded with Shelton losing clean in the middle of the ring. This loss greatly offended him, and so he cost Carlito his match with Nitro, which also placed the Raw newcomer in title contention. At a vengeance, those two men got into it during a handicap match, but they won the match anyways after Nitro used Carlito's tights for leverage. And Carlito and Benjamin brawled, and once again, Shelton was on the receiving end of something. Thought their match at Vengeance good. Before it even began, Carlito was eager to hold Tori's puppies. He just got the wrong ones as Tori was busy having a photo shoot. He provided commentary for this, but then his music played and the party was over. In regards to the match, right out of the gate, Nitro felt that he should observe from a distance. And the action itself is not special. It's just a decent little match. Carlito risked it all again. Nice athleticism, and just thinking about it, all three of these men were well skilled in that area. The most memorable moment from the match, in my opinion, was the impressive Tower of Doom. JR's reaction to it says it all, and the impact itself was something else. The Charlotte crowd went absolutely insane for this, and it was sort of unexpected, as you can see here. As the seconds went by, it was looking like Carlito's night, and he caught Shelton with a backstabber. Then Nitro pulled him away and went for the cover. 1, 2, 3, new champion. Thus, Shelton Benjamin's title reign ended a little over a month. Fun match. If you're ever watching Vengeance 2006, I know for a fact you will enjoy this one. Alright, so that does it for this video. I honestly would have continued it, but he did not do much following this. I remember he was complaining. He was whining a lot backstage, you know, in segments and stuff like that. I'll get into that in our future World's Greatest Tag Team video. You know, it eventually led to Charlie Haas teaming up with him. I'll talk about that in great detail in a future video. But about this, well, my personal opinion, I feel like they thought to themselves, hey, this guy's going to be a mid-carder from here on. He wasn't pushed as hard, and he was somewhat of a joke. He was somewhat. I'm not going to say he's an outright joke, because this man was the Intercontinental Champion. But the whole Mama thing, it just wasn't good. He sucked. It was pretty damn bad. It was terrible for him. But yeah, that whole storyline didn't really help him much, and it was just bad. What are some positives from this run? Well, honestly, I enjoyed a bunch of stuff from here. You know, I loved watching the matches that he had with RVD, Carlito. There's some good stuff around here, you know. My favorite match of this video is Shelton Benjamin versus Rob Van Dam, Backlash 2006. It was just a fun affair. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Alright, what did you guys think of Shelton Benjamin's heel run? Please comment down below. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit the spinning heel kick on the like button, and perhaps the T-bone suplex and the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.